Hello and welcome, boils and ghouls, to the Cryptique podcast. My name's Kenny.
And my name is Godden.
And together we're here to watch and review every horrific, often hilarious episode of the legendary HBO anthology series, Tales from the Crypt. Godden, we made it to episode number 2.
We did.
It's our episode 3, but for Tales from the Crypt, it's episode 2.
Yes.
Okay. So, episode 2 is
one of the more fun ones.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite ones. Episode 2 and All Through the House. This premiered June 10th, 1989, which is the same date as the previous episode. So the first 3 episodes actually of Tales from the Crypt were all on the same night. So it was like an hour and a half extravaganza of Tales from the Crypt. So we're on episode 2 of that extravaganza, All Through the House. Spoiler alert, this is one of my favorite episodes of the entire franchise. So we are going to go through the episode pretty much scene by scene and kind of break it down. There are going to be spoilers. So if you haven't watched this episode yet, then make sure you go watch this somewhere, somehow. And come back to us, and we're going to talk about it. So to start things off, I'm actually going to read the description, inked in blood, on the back of the DVD box set here.
Is that what it says? It says inked in blood?
No.
Okay.
I just imagine that it's inked in blood over here.
Oh, that's nice.
Let's see here. All Through the House, episode 2. The holiday chopping season runs late when an axe-toting maniac dressed as a Santa makes a Christmas Eve visit to the philandering wife who murdered her hubby. Sorry, lady, he's not offering an escape clause. Yeah, even the box set has puns, doesn't it?
Wait, actually, with that description of the box set, I think I was able to apply one of the jokes a Crypt Keeper made alongside with the story that was underlying, because it's like a legal thing, right? Saying a clause, there's usually like a legal standpoint.
Yeah.
And with how that story goes, I think I understand, like that was all done on purpose. Like I'm gonna get into it later, and I'll elaborate later, and hopefully it makes sense to you in a bit. But I'm excited that it just made sense to me just now.
Oh wow! So on the read through, you're able to get more out of it.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Well, general thoughts. I mean, we kind of let the cat out of the bag already. We both like this episode. This is definitely one of my favorite in the entire franchise. What are your overall thoughts?
I have not finished season 1, so it is by far my favorite episode of season 1. So until I can, hop off the bandwagon and you can have your favorite episode, and I can find my own favorite episode for season 1. So it's great. I love rewatching this episode. Realistically, it's a fun one.
Yeah, it's a good one. And something I noticed this time going through it, the air date was June, in the middle of summer. And this is a Christmas episode. I think that's interesting that they would release so early in the franchise a holiday episode like this in summer.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess they didn't care as much for the seasonal aspect. Just more like, this is just a good one. But yeah, maybe that is weird. I didn't think of it like that.
Yeah, maybe they just knew it was good, so they just wanted to have it in the front. They wanted to front load with something really, really good to get you hooked.
Mm-hmm. And
that's not to say that the last episode was bad. I liked the last episode, but definitely this outshines it by quite a bit.
Yeah. Unfortunately, but yes, it does.
All right, so let us start the recap here, and I'm actually gonna we're gonna open up here with the Crypt Keeper opening. So in the opening scene, the Crypt Keeper walks into his lair, all dressed up in a Santa suit, and so right away the theme is already right there for you to see. And he's like full out in a Santa outfit, as well as like a mask of a face. And do you think this mask is like a costume that the Crypt Keeper just happened to pick up somewhere, or do you think this is meant to be like an actual human face that he peeled away and put on himself?
I think the idea of it being an actual face is good, but they could also have just made that more prominent since their makeup work is amazing, they could just add a few little details, like little cut in the face or blood or anything like that to show that it was cut out, but they didn't. So I think it is a costume more so than like someone he killed or someone he found.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, obviously it's a costume, right? They're not going to really carve a face off
It's a
to
good
put
costume.
it on. But I was, kind of thinking about, do they mean for it to be a real face? And if they did mean for it to be a real face, then they could have put more effort into that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I see that. So maybe he's just trying to be fun and silly for the holidays and just put a ho 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 Santa mask on. Okay. So not many puns in this opening, and this opening, I feel like the Crypt Keeper is still kind of gearing himself up or maybe settling into himself. As of right now, I feel like the Crypt Keeper is still really ghoulish and very trying to be creepy and scary and breathy. He basically sits down and introduces himself, and then right away gets into the story with the quote, "A little terror tale, chock full of holiday fear. I mean, cheer." And then he opens up the book and starts reading from the book to tell us a tale. So he's still very, very subdued compared to what we're used to seeing.
So yeah, like the description on the back of the DVD, one of my favorite lines he says in the beginning of that was, "You're probably wondering why I'm in this costume. Maybe it was in the clause of the contract." Yeah. So like, oh, they're doing a lot more legal, standpoints with the term clause. So like, but now I'm like, oh, I could see why, maybe they were kind of pushing that a little bit more than it being a pun. Like, oh, that's kind of twice in a row.
All right, so let's get into the episode. But before we do, I want to talk about the opening panel. I always love the artwork in the opening scenes. This particular piece of artwork, it's a picture from the outside, and there's definitely some sort of Santa Claus-ish character. He's wearing something that you just basically see his arm and his torso, but he's holding an axe, and the axe is bloody. It's a very bloody axe, and he's looking through a window from the outside. The outside, by the way, is very, very snowy, sleet, windy. There's a wreath on the window that he's looking through, so it's very, very Christmas themed on the outside. On the inside, there's a woman. Looks like she's in some sort of a nightgown, and she's dragging a dead body. And she's doing that right in front of a Christmas tree, so it's very, very Christmassy. And something that I noticed in this is, if you look really closely at the woman dragging the body, appears to be smiling. So this isn't, even though it's a horrific scene on the inside, she seems to be very happy, or at least content. I didn't think about this until right now, but yeah, on the inside is a very horrific scene, right? A woman dragging a corpse, a bloody corpse at that. And on the outside is a man seemingly holding a bloody axe. So it's a very horrific scene outside and a very horrific scene inside. I like that, actually.
Double the gruesomeness.
Double the gruesomeness. This one's twice as gruesome. So this particular episode starts off from the outside, like the comic indicates. And again, it's a very, very snowy, Christmassy atmosphere. There's Christmas music playing, decorations all over the place. The fireplace is going, candles are lit. Christmas sheet music is right up there on the piano. Cookies are even left out for Santa Claus. So it's a very, very thick with atmosphere. By the way, something that I kind of missed was, did you notice that at the very, very opening scene, the very, very first moment, is a shot of the well from the outside?
I did notice that, yes. I'm like, it is a nice shot, It just zooms out into the wreath, into like the glass and all, like the window and all that stuff.
Right.
It is nice. Yeah.
Yeah, well, the well does come back. So the well is kind of an important location in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
So as the camera pans through all of this Christmas cheer, holiday, whatnots. So the husband's sitting on the couch, and the wife is behind him. And did you notice this? She picks up the poker to go stir the fire, and as she walks behind him, the point of the
poker,
the point of the poker actually goes right behind his head as if it's being impaled into his head. Did you notice that?
Initially, yeah, I remember that now. But when I first watched it, I guess it just kind of like happened. I'm like, okay, because I was more anticipating like the next scene more so than digesting each moment. So I didn't. Yeah, I guess I didn't realize that till now. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah. So the husband's sitting there on the couch, and he says, "Something needs to be done about that fire. Have you got the poker?" And then it zooms into her face, and she has like this blank stare, and she's like, "Yes."
And she's like really excited to use it. She's like, "Yes."
Yeah, she's like, she is. She's like holding it with two hands, like, "Yes." And he says, "Well, let me have it."
I did like the whole line by line in this one. It's so funny.
Yeah, it's a good sequence of events. And then she gets even more excited. She's like, "What did you say?" And he says, "What are you, deaf? I said, let me have it."
And yep, that's all she needed to have as confirmation.
At that moment, she just takes the poker and just impales him in the top of the head.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way,
slams it down.
Yeah, his death scene was, I thought, really, really good. With it like a blank stare, a complete dead stare. He just leans forward and face plants right on the table in front of him.
Yeah, I thought it was really well done too.
So I like this moment also because the way he said, "What are you, deaf?" I said, "Let me have it." Like it implies, like, is there some sort of like marital problems going on here? Like, do they fight a lot? When he said it like that, it immediately you feel for her because you think like, oh, maybe he's like an abusive man. Maybe he's, verbally or physically abusive.
Well, because what I got was right when it pans to just them on the sofa in the fireplace. He has a big book he's reading and just says Charles Dickens on it. And the first thing I get is like people who like, I don't know, who put that in your face like, oh, I read this author, I read this kind of book. They want to be like shown as like, oh, they have higher authority in some way, or like they just are better in some way. So him just reading a book that just flat out just says Charles Dickens on it was kind of funny. It's like, yeah, I read Dickens. And the fact that he's next to the fireplace and he doesn't just like, make the fire for him was just like, okay, he just doesn't care about, like, he just wants to have service or something. I don't know. He just seems like he wants to be the boss.
Oh my gosh.
That is commanding.
So there's even, okay, I love how you just unpacked all of that. So not only is he verbally abusive, yelling at her, like he's reading Dickens. Like, I read literature.
Yeah.
He's so arrogant. And he's right near the fire. He could just poke the fire himself.
But he didn't want to. He's too busy reading Dickens.
So right away you're siding with her, right?
Yeah.
But then she just hauls off and kills him.
I didn't flinch when he died. I was like, okay, probably deserved.
And as soon as he face plants on the table in front of him, I love her delivery of "Merry Christmas, you son of a bitch."
Isn't her eyes like always popping?
Yeah, she's like bulging her eyes out of her face as she's saying it. She's very, very intense. This whole episode, happy. This woman is so intense. I don't think she has a name in the episode. I'll just keep referring to her as the wife, but she is good. She plays unstable so well. She's like constantly on the verge of just completely losing it. I love that about this episode. And then also the moment after this, I love how she struggles to get the poker out of his head. She's like pulling on the poker and it finally comes free with like a suction cup pop effect, like as it comes out of his head. In the moment immediately following that, we find out that she has a daughter. The daughter comes downstairs and interrupts her whole fiasco going on. Probably the noise of whatever happened downstairs maybe woke her up, or maybe she was just getting antsy because of Santa. I don't know, but she came downstairs and
I think it was a thud of the head hitting the
maybe. So so the daughter interrupts and we find out that this woman, this murderer, is also a mother. So that adds a whole nother layer of a whole nother layer to this episode. So the mom goes and puts her to bed while trying to hide the poker from her. But I like the moment right before they go into the bedroom when the daughter is worried. Oh, that's what it was. So she said on her way upstairs, she said, "Good night, Joseph."
Good, yeah.
And
He's like, why is Joseph not talking?
why is Joseph not talking?
Well, he did
Joseph's
say
asleep,
goodnight or
honey.
something like that. Yeah.
But the daughter, of course, is concerned about Joseph. She says, but when Santa comes, he'll wake Joseph up. And we get another great delivery from mom. She says, honey, I don't think even Santa can wake up your stepfather.
I love that. She's like kind of telling the truth, but like not hiding the details. Like,
so we
good.
also get another bit of detail here, though, that this isn't, they married after she had the girl, so it's not her real father. What do you think would happen to her real father? Do you think this woman just goes from man to man killing them?
I don't know. Honestly, like there isn't like a lot of. When I first watched, I didn't even like think of that realistically. Like I'd assume like maybe the dad just split and then she remarried, but now she doesn't like this dude that she ended up with, and maybe she had regrets, and maybe that's why she just kind of murdered him. But I don't know. But as the story unfolds, you kind of get more of an idea maybe what happened.
Yeah.
But
This woman's pretty unstable.
Like,
this woman's pretty unstable. I wouldn't put it past her to just be going through man after man after man.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so they get into the bedroom. The daughter, I like this moment actually right here. The daughter asks to open the window because it's too hot, and she notices that even mom is sweating. I like that moment for a couple of reasons, because it gives you a reason why the window's open, which is a very important point later on in the episode. But it also reminds us that, oh yeah, this woman she just killed her husband, and she's obviously nervous and sweating. So it lets you know right away that yes, this window is open. Okay. But it does so in a way that just kind of reminds you that, oh yeah, she just killed somebody and she's nervous. So that was kind of a nice moment that a lot was happening all at once. I really like that. And then of course the daughter asks, what do you want for Christmas, mommy? And she says another great line. I already got it, sweetheart. I already got it.
She got her present.
She got her present. That's right. She got herself a present, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
So in the very next moment, she's on the phone downstairs and she's calling someone, and it goes right to voicemail, whoever she's calling. And the voicemail, which by the way, I never really paid much attention to this until I was watching the episodes for the podcast. So I'm really thankful that we're doing this podcast. But he says, hey, it's the Vic Monster. I'm out partying. Leave your name, number, and measurements. This guy's a dog.
Yeah, he calls him the Vic Monster. That was a thing it did give away.
Yeah, this guy is.
Like
I love how she just decides to just kill her husband to be with this man who's just clearly a narcissist womanizer.
The Vic Monster. Just a good.
And she says, she leaves a message saying, I know you told me not to call, but I just wanted to tell you it's done. I did it. It's all ours. The money, everything. And that first part of the line, I know you told me not to call, that to me, when I would watch this episode, on my own, I would always think to myself, oh, they're in on it together. And he didn't want her to call because he didn't want the evidence to link to her. That's the way I always read that situation. But after paying more attention to his voicemail, I'm out partying, leave your name and number and measurements and all that kind of stuff. I wonder if they had a fling, okay? And she got like obsessed with him. And then he was like, you got to stop calling me. And this is like all in her head that they're going to go live together.
Do you think it could have been the daughter's dad, like this Vic Monster, like the original?
Oh, I never considered that either. Maybe she wants to go back with her old husband. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and she just like maybe went with this guy for the money and just maybe planned to kill him at some point, because when she said, it's done, it's all ours, the money, everything, like literally killing is like the last thing you want to do. She had him like maybe she had everything first, or I don't know how it works. Not a murderer.
Oh, I like that angle. That adds a whole layer to it right there. Right? If that was the original husband, she wants to go back to the original husband.
Or something, yeah. Like maybe he got locked away and he's like, oh, I'm going to make sure, do our things. And then the stick of make sure, like, our daughter's good, and we have money. Or I don't know, honestly. Maybe I'm just overreaching here.
Yeah, God.
But I did think he was the first.
That's interesting.
She's going back.
That's interesting. So yeah, either this man that she's calling is like a womanizer that she's obsessed with, or maybe it's the original husband. You never know. You never know. I like that it doesn't tell you. I like that they just drop little subtle clues as to these people's intentions and motivations and their character and all that kind of stuff. I love that. So the next scene, we're cleaning up, or she's cleaning up, and she's doing her best to dispose of the body and clean up all the blood everywhere. And I love she wraps up Joseph's head in a plastic bag with a gift wrap bow tie, or a gift wrap bow, like a red bow tied around his neck.
I thought it was
on his head. On his head, yeah.
Maybe I'm misremembering, but yeah. I like that. I thought it was smart.
Yeah.
Because he's bleeding, you know? Yeah.
Right. He's bleeding, so we need to stop the bleeding all over the furniture. But also, let's not forget, this is the gift that she got for herself.
Mm-hmm. It was good. It's what she wanted.
Right. She drags him to the door, and I love that while she's dragging him, she mutters, "How many times have I asked you to lose weight?" So even when he's dead, he bothers her. She didn't like him, so she killed him. And she still doesn't like him when he's dead.
Yeah.
Nothing about this man makes her happy.
It's not the rigor mortis. It's just, he's just fat. And she told him to lose weight.
Right. So her dragging the body is a lot like the scene from the opening comic, from the opening panel. And I wonder if in this moment, he's already watching her, like in the opening panel. So that kind of caught my attention there.
I think so. Like, actually, I didn't think of that before, but I'm gonna say now, thinking it would be the case, because it starts to get eerie with the shots, right? Because now, like, she's like leaving the house, but like we don't see her, and it pans to like the keys, right? It's like, oh, maybe she locked herself out or something, you know? And yeah, maybe the murder is there and watching. Maybe he's there to set up, like, you know, his kill or something, but we don't know yet. But it's just like, it's already adding layers of stress.
Right.
Like after she started to drag the body out.
Right. At this moment. Yeah. At this moment, it does start to build the tension. And I wanted to talk about that too. As she's dragging him outside towards that well where we started, the camera doesn't follow her outside. It pans to the side where you see her keys on top of a purse. Yeah. And while this is going on, you hear the radio, and the radio is, talking about the police and the sheriff's department of Gaines County issuing an all-points bulletin. Oh, yeah. Did you notice that, too, with the Gaines County?
Yeah, Gaines County. I love that.
Yeah, William Gaines was the writer of these original comics. So Gaines County was a little tip of the hat to him. I like that moment, too. Mm-hmm. But the radio is telling us that the patient at the Pleasantville Institute for the Criminally Insane has escaped and is reported to have brutally murdered 4 women. The man is also reported to be wearing a Santa Claus suit. Dun, dun, dun. So we have basically the setup for what's going on. But in this moment, though, the door is blown shut by the wind. And then when that shuts, her keys fall off the purse. And I like this moment. Like, there's so much about this moment that I like. This is one of my favorite shots in the episode. She's dragging the body outside. She's outside struggling with Joseph, the overweight man who just is a jerk. Okay. So she doesn't hear the radio, but we do. So we know what's going on. At the same time, the door shuts. Okay. So now she's outside and the door shut and the keys fall down. So she didn't hear the newscast. She's outside. The door shut. She doesn't have the keys. Like, so much happened in this one moment. I really like this moment. And this is kind of a setup of what I think this episode does so well, which is show, don't tell. Like, they're not telling us any of this information. It's all just happening on screen, and you just put all the pieces together and you get it. So I like when movies do this I like when shows and movies do this because it doesn't take our intelligence for granted. Like, it trusts us to put those pieces together. Now, it's pretty obvious when it's all put together, like the keys falling and that kind of stuff. Like, it's like it's easy to deduce that, but it would also just be easy to have her see from the outside and be like, oh damn it, I'm locked out or something like that, right? Like, oh, my keys. Like, it would be also be easy to do it that way. So I'm glad they didn't do it through words.
Yeah, no, and it is different from the first episode, which is like all talk, don't show. Like he was, with the viewer, he's just telling him like, his thoughts. He's just narrating every time. So that's a nice flip because like this is what I'm used to for the rest of the series. It's just all show no tell. Oh yeah, show don't tell for the rest of the episodes usually.
Well, that's a good point too. Yeah, that's something I also wanted to touch on a little bit. Was you can really start to see the difference in the episodes being directed by different people. In the first episode, it was narration driven, and it was just the basically the host, right? The main character just talking you through everything that's going on. And then now in this one, it's more like a traditional movie, right? Where you watch a situation happen and there's no breaking the fourth wall. It's all just happening in front of you to kind of watch on your own. But yeah, very different directing styles already. Okay, so anything else about that scene of her walking outside with the body, dragging the body outside?
No, yeah. I mean, yeah, it does build up more tension, and then we get more information about an axe, killer, or what's his name, a mental patient who escaped and or he murdered 4. So that's something that she doesn't know, but we know. I do love that. It's like, she's outside at a bad timing, and she also, just killed her husband, so like, or ex-husband now, and we'll see how it unfolds.
Ex-husband.
Like, oh, that's funny. Her ex-husband.
Okay, so she looks down the well and she says, how about a nice cold plunge, Joseph? So this is where she's going to hide the body. So this well, turns out to be a pretty important location. This is where she's going to dispose of her husband. And we get one of our first jump scares of many. There's a lot of jump scares in this episode. Joseph wasn't dead, and he grabs her by the throat. And in that moment, it's over the shoulder from her perspective, and you see Joseph, and he leans up, and the bag pulls away from his face. I love that moment. It's so eerie, and it's just a haunting image to see his face come out of the bag staring at her. So that was a great moment. I love that moment. I probably watched it 2 or 3 times while I was doing this review.
Oh, really? Just for the moment of him coming up like, how dare you kill me?
It's such a good shot. Yeah, it's such a good shot. And then while he's choking her, she is reaching for an axe that's on a stump in the foreground, but she can't reach it. So she just uses her foot and stomps on his neck until he dies. So she'll kill him no matter how she does it. Like whether it's a poker to the head, an axe, or just her foot. Like she'll just do whatever she can to just rid herself of this man. And also that was establishing the location of the axe, which turns out to be very, very important. Because after she kills him, the camera pulls back again and the axe is already gone. So we got the resolution of that visual very, very quickly.
What about when she was trying to hit her ex-husband and she kept missing?
Oh, right. That happens later. That happens much later, but I know exactly what scene you're talking about. I love that part. I absolutely love that part.
Oh, does it? Oh, okay.
And she hears little jingles. Yeah. She hears little jingles out there while she's trying to work to get Joseph down that well. So she kind of explores, kind of looking back and forth, and she approaches the house and then starts to back away from the house, and then she bumps into Santa Claus. And this moment was a really good jump scare because he's like right up on her, like a grimace on his face, like just lurking there, holding the axe. That was a pretty good jump scare right there. That one would definitely get you if you weren't expecting it because it happens pretty quick. So he grabs at her. They kind of tussle back and forth, and she eventually pulls an icicle off of a rooftop and uses it to scratch the side of his face, and then she kicks him and she runs inside. But before she can close the door, Santa uses his arm and blocks the door, and she actually has to when she bumped into him, he had the axe. But then when she kicked him, he dropped the axe, and she grabbed the axe, ran away. She ended up using the axe to chop at his arm that was inside the doorway. And this, I watched this a couple times too. This was a good splatter effect. When she hit him with the arm, blood splattered up onto the door frame, and it looked really good. It was a really good splatter effect. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, I guess I didn't notice that. You always like to look for those details, not with how they use the practical effects of blood. But me, I'm like, if it looks good, I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna bother asking. Like, yeah, it looks great. Move on to the next scene.
Right, it's one of those things like if it's looking good, you don't really notice, but if something's off, you might notice more. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So now she's inside, which is good.
Yeah, now she's inside, which is good. She seems to be safe at the moment, and she calls the police, which is probably the right thing to do in this type of a situation. And they ask for her location. And at that moment, she looks out the door, the window and the door, and she realizes that she has a dead husband right outside lying in her front yard. So at that moment, she realizes, oh, crap, I better not get the police involved. And she hangs up the phone, and that's that. So she blew her chance at being saved by being such an evil person. By actually murdering somebody, she prevented herself from receiving rescue. And if you notice, while she's peeking out that front window, Santa actually, you see him in the back behind her, kind of peek in and then run away. It's a pretty subtle shot, but he's dressed in such bright red that I think it catches your eye. I like that moment.
Wow, yeah, I didn't notice that at all. That you barely see him as it does that. Okay, I might have to like rewatch that because like, there's no way I did not see that.
Yeah. So she starts looking at the rest of the windows, and she's kind of peering out that back window where Santa was last seen. So you're kind of expecting something to come from either outside or through the window. And in a short moment of silence, you get the phone that rings, which is another jump scare. Tons of jump scares in this episode, so I absolutely appreciate that. As she approaches the phone slowly, a tire swing comes through the window behind her. Tons of jump scares in this episode. So he reaches in to grab for her, and she uses the axe to knock him out, and he falls down out back. So so she knocked him out, right? She's still in the house, and the phone rings again, but I noticed this time it wasn't done in a jump scare way. As she walks away from the window, the camera kind of settles down and pans down, and the phone enters the foreground. So you see the phone, you expect it to ring, and then it rings. So it's not a jump scare. I definitely noticed that. So at this moment, I feel like they're intentionally trying to like ease down the tension. Like, okay, he's knocked out, he's back there, I'm in here. Everything seems to be going pretty well, right? I feel like the tension is kind of easing. So the phone rings the second time. She picks it up, and it's the police. The police say, hey, I just want to let you know, stay inside. There's an axe murderer out there somewhere. So stay inside, lock your doors, don't open up for anybody. And we're sending police around to investigate and to make sure everybody's safe. Oh, and the police also tell her that he uses an axe to kill his victims. So the wheels are starting to turn inside of her head at this moment. Wait a minute. I just killed my husband, and there's an axe murderer roaming around, and he's in my backyard. So in her head, she's thinking, I can make it look like this guy did it. So it seems like she might be getting away with it at this point. So I can see why they might have wanted to ease the tension down a little bit in this moment. Because it's kind of, it's getting you settled into, okay, well, this is how the story's going to go. Like, I'll blame this guy for killing my husband. I'll get off scot-free, and I'm going to have the money, and then I can go be with the Vic monster.
The Vic monster.
So this next scene is the scene that you were talking about, which I also really like.
Yeah, she was trying to actually like, I think she just wanted to get the axe on the head, or it looked like she was just trying to aim for the head, but he was just laying flat, but she just kept missing. Left shoulder, right shoulder, just like next to his face. I'm like, okay. It happens for like what, 4 more times. It was just a little funny. Like,
yeah, it's a good gag. It's a good visual gag because she lines the axe up perfectly with like the center of his head, and she brings the axe back, and then she closes her eyes and looks away and swings. So she's killed him twice, right? She definitely has it in her to do it, but she still doesn't want to look. She still has sense enough to not want to look. And she keeps missing, like she hits the left side of his head and then the right. She misses like, she goes over his left shoulder and then his right shoulder. She keeps missing. But when she finally gets him, when she finally hits him, you don't see it. You just see his legs like boop up and down.
Yeah.
So that was a good visual gag. I really like that gag too. The way his dead face is staring straight forward into the camera with an axe on either side of his head was also a pretty funny gag.
Pretty good.
So this whole moment was really, really funny. Probably one of the better, more ease of tension kind of laugh moments in this episode. I really like that. So the door shut again in this moment, though. The wind blows the door shut again. And when the door slams, we go back up to the daughter's room and she thinks it's Santa Claus. And she wakes up and she looks out her window. And she looks out her window overlooking the backyard where Santa should be. But she sees the silhouette of his body where it was in the snow.
Like the snow angel, yeah. Like
the snow angel, right? The Santa Claus snow angel. Now, this was very reminiscent of Halloween. If you remember the end of Halloween, when they shoot Michael Myers off the top balcony, right? He's lying there. But then when Loomis goes over to look out the window, he's gone. And you just kind of see like a faint imprint on the grass of where he was. So very, very reminiscent of Halloween, which we'll get into this more later. But I also noticed, Halloween and this episode both being very, very heavily themed around holiday. So I thought that was interesting that they would make that similar shot for a very, very similar type of episode. So back down to outside by the well, she finishes her job. She puts the axe in his head and she's ready to go back inside. She grabs her key. I like this moment also, by the way. She grabs her keys and drops them and they land on the step on top of the snow. And when she reaches for them, they just disappear. You're like, what? That was weird. But then when she wipes the snow away, you see that there's like a gap in the wood on the stairs. So the key fell into the staircase. And that was a good visual way to put that. Like the keys just disappearing. And then you don't know where they go until she wipes the snow away and you realize, oh, those are gone. That was a cool moment there. Lots of cool moments in this, huh? Lots of cool shots that just kind of stick with you for a long time. So she has to go back to her dead husband and search his body for the keys. And while she's doing this, you can hear the jingle bells, like little bells jingling in the distance. So because we got that shot from the daughter's room, we know that Santa's back up and he's wandering around somewhere outside. And we hear the bells and she's locked outside. So already the tension's starting to build again. So she's kind of looking around. Is he over there? Is he over here? What does that sound? And we get a buildup of tension. And then it's released with like a clump of snow falling on top of her head, which is kind of a very comedic shot. A good kind of a silly moment to kind of ease a little bit of the tension. But still, she's outside, so we don't know for sure. But she ends up going back inside just fine. She unlocks the door. She goes inside and she's back inside. But just as she's shutting the door, you see the husband lying down by the well, lying on his back with the axe, sticking out of his head. So we have that one last little shot before she closes the door. So she re-enters the house and she calms herself down. You see her kind of breathing and kind of being calm and just kind of, very, very zen moment. Because in her mind, I think she thinks that she just got away with murder. She killed her husband, right? She was attacked by this madman. And now she can use this madman being in her backyard as a decoy for her dead husband in the front yard. Mm-hmm. So in her mind, I'm thinking she's probably really calming down and kind of getting away with this. She calls the police, very, very calm. She calls the police, but as soon as the police pick up, she's just like absolutely acting like she's hysterical. Oh my God, you have to come. You have to come. There's a murderer here. He's in the backyard, but he killed my husband. And as she's saying this, she peeks back outside and sees that the axe is pulled from the husband's head.
Yeah, she's gone again.
Right. So that last shot we saw of the husband lying there with the axe in his head, now his body's overturned and the axe is gone. So at that moment, she drops the phone, right? And she runs to the back to look at the back window and she sees that Santa is indeed gone. So from this moment on, the rest of this episode is like full panic mode. And this is, to me, if I can just skip to this part of the episode and watch to the end, like this to me is, this whole episode's great, but this last bit of it is so good. I love this last bit of this episode. So she grabs the phone again, and she's like full, like real panic this time.
Mhm.
He's out there. He has an axe. He's here. Hurry up. And the police operator asks if she has any way to protect herself. And we get that reveal of her having an epiphany. And she says, Joseph's gun. She drops the phone and she
yells that.
Right. She drops the phone and runs into the closet. And this is a good shot, by the way, too. There's an overhead shot from inside the closet. And on the shelf above, you see there's a gun. But of course, she's too short. And she's reaching up and you see her little hands kind of fumbling around on top of that little shelf looking for the gun. And while she's doing that, the door behind her shuts. She turns around to open the door and she grabs the handle and off it comes right into her hand. So she literally pulls the handle off of the closet door. And as slapstick as that moment is, I think to myself, how often are you in a closet with the door shut behind you? If there was anything wrong with that doorknob, I'm thinking it probably could have been not noticed forever, right? So it would make sense that if there's any doorknob in the house that's probably faulty, it's going to be the one on the inside of the closet door, right?
Right, yeah.
So she goes to reach for it. She rips the doorknob right off. I love when she tries to put it back on. She tries to shove the doorknob back on. It pops out the other side.
It's very comedic. I do like that.
It is very comedic, but it's also in a very stressful moment. So I like the merging of the funny silliness with just the overall, horrificness of the situation. So she's trapped inside the closet. She's trying to get the door open, but she can't. And then while she's doing that, you see a ladder pop up against the outside of the house from the window inside the closet. So I love how this scene like unfolds with all these layers. You have the gun, you have the reaching for the gun, you have the shut door, the doorknob from the inside, then the doorknob from the outside, then the trying to break the door, and then the ladder, boom. And then at that moment, she looks and you see Santa climbing up the ladder, staring at her. And you're like, oh my God, she's in this closet. We got Santa outside. What's going to happen? But he doesn't stop at her though. He keeps climbing up because right above this closet is the daughter's room. And that's where everything just completely goes bananas. So then we go up and get a shot from the outside where Santa's climbing up towards that open window that we knew was open from the very beginning of the episode. And the daughter's outside reaching down, trying to help Santa up as this killer Santa is climbing up towards her. So you have the meeting of the daughter and the Santa, which she was trying to help save the whole time. She's stuck in a closet downstairs. This is just mayhem in this moment. And she's just trying to break that door down so hard. She finally breaks the door open. She runs through the house. She frantically runs upstairs, runs into the bedroom and sees nothing. There's nobody in the bedroom. And that's when you hear the daughter call from downstairs. And she runs downstairs to see her daughter holding hands with Santa. And this is one of the best lines. Again, there's so many good lines in this. She says, I told you he'd come, and he didn't even have to come down the chimney. I let him in.
She's so proud.
Right? And she's so proud that she let Santa Claus in. And it zooms into Santa and all of his grotesque hideousness, his scratch on his face that he got from earlier, his gross teeth, just everything about him is so mucky and gross. This is our first real good close-up of him. And he says, naughty or nice. And then we get the glorious ending to this episode, which is her on the stairs, just shouting over and over again, no, no. I love this part.
It was about 16 no's. I counted that.
You counted them. You counted the no's.
No, because they're all like, belt-fed screams. I'm like, oh, nice.
Right. She might have lost her voice after this, the actress.
No, she's a professional, please.
Yeah, I didn't think to count the no's, but you did. And there's you said 16 of them, 16 no's.
Yeah, because it bothered me. I'm like, this is long. I'm like, how many no's actually are there? 16. Yeah.
So that's the ending of the episode. Just her screaming repeatedly, no, 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 on the stairs. And we cut to we cut back to the Crypt Keeper. And he says, oh, don't worry about little Carrie. Oh, by the way, then the daughter's name was Carrie. Don't worry about little Carrie. This particular Santa preferred older women.
Mm-hmm.
In pieces, that is.
Yeah.
So I think they had to put that in there, though, just in case that you might think that he was doing something to the daughter. I think it was important to make that distinction. Tales from the Crypt is all about, horror and gore and just being as violent as possible, but not with children involved. Please.
Yeah, they have standards. They're professional killers.
Right. He would never do anything to harm a hair on little Carrie's head. Carrie let him in, by the way. So if anything, he owes her a thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Well, because it also said on the radio that he has killed 4 women already. So it's like he's gonna bag his 5th, and I think it at the end of that, even if she got away with it, like I don't think they would have believed that he killed the husband if his main motive was killing women. I don't know, honestly.
Oh, that's a good point too. Right? Yeah, he kills women. So maybe she wouldn't have got away with it anyway. Maybe it would have been like, well, no, he only kills women. He would have never come to you if there was a man in the house. Yeah, that could have happened too. I didn't think about that part.
He probably would never have broken in had he saw Joseph alive, just on the fireplace.
Right. She could have saved her life. She could have saved her life if she just waited. Right. He was watching from outside probably when she killed him. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. So, do you have a particular favorite moment from the episode?
Oh yeah, honestly a lot, but I think her just screaming out, "Joseph's gun!" It's just like, okay.
Joseph's gun, right? Because she wasn't saying it to the officer online. Because the officer asked, "Do you have anything to protect yourself with?" She didn't say it, like she wasn't responding to that. She was saying out loud, "Joseph's gun!" Like she was just shouting it to herself.
Ran up to the closet. Yeah. I'm like, okay, it just caught me.
Yeah, I have a lot of favorite moments as well. I think I do like that shot when she's dragging him outside, and you hear the radio going while the door is kind of starting to be blown shut. The door finally slams shut and the keys fall down. I really like that moment. I think that sets up quite a bit dynamic of what's going on. You get the exposition dump right through the radio, but you also get the expedition dump without her there, so she doesn't know what's going on. You get the fact that she's outside with the door shut, and you get the fact that she has her keys there. That to me, I always thought that shot kind of sticks out to me. I always look forward to watching that shot unfold as time goes on through the shot. So I like that. I think that might be my favorite shot.
It is nice. It's a good episode.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite? We're gonna call him Shriek of the Week, a Crypt Keeper pun of the week.
A couple episodes so far. I think I did like his Claus statements, like, "Oh, probably wondering why I'm in this outfit. Must be a clause in the contract."
Right.
That one's for me for now.
Yeah, mine came at the end when he said, "Be careful what you ask for Christmas. You might just get it."
You might just get it.
Yeah, I'm gonna admit though they're not the greatest so far. He has really good zingers later on in the season, and then even in future seasons especially. But the first few episodes, he's so much more subdued. So we're still on, I feel like, a gentle warming trend right now into him becoming who he really is. Because right now he's more interested in being creepy and eerie and that kind of stuff. And I don't think he's really grown into himself yet. So these Shriek of the Weeks aren't necessarily great. I could have come up with that myself, but I still like it. So there you have it. So overall, as an episode as a whole, I definitely like it. And this one to me is a lot more comparable to other horror movies because there's an actual villain. It's very slasher. Episode 1 was not as much of a horror tale as it was kind of like just ironic justice, right? Something like that. But this one though, it's very slasher. It's very Halloween with the theme being holiday theme. You know, this is Christmas, Halloween being Halloween. Very Friday the 13th. It's very slashery. So very, very similar to other horror movies and horror shows. But with this one being only a half hour long, basically the last half hour of this movie is like a finale to a typical horror movie. So it's like the best part of a horror movie. So really, this is like the best of the best. It tells an entire story within a half hour, and almost the entire thing is the finale of a horror flick. So as a slasher, this is so good. This is on par with some of the better horror movies.
Yeah, no, I agree. The pacing is great, honestly. Like, just how each scene is just chock full of information every time. Whether it's something she did or something we just noticed before she notices something, like the radio that you mentioned. I don't know, yeah. Like, every second, there's always something to digest, and I enjoy that. Like, it's always a good pace.
Yeah, and yeah, it's definitely directed well and written well, and every scene does have a lot of stuff in it to really dissect. So. A very good episode, worth watching again. I'd watch it again. Would you recommend it to Tales from the Crypt fan? I absolutely would. I'd recommend it to non-Tales from the Crypt fans.
Yeah. This would be like my gateway for them to get into this series if they want to. Like, yeah, I'll just show them this episode and see if they enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because it kind of becomes better from that point forward.
So, out of a total of 5, if I could give it 6, I would. Out of a total of 5, I'm going to give it 5 plastic bags over the head.
Plastic bags? I'll give it 5 fire pokers because I like the fire poker. Yeah, all right, five is a strong one.
This is absolutely one we can both agree on. 5 and 5. So this is a 5. This is a 5 out of 5. This is really a great episode. All right, so there's the episode. There's our score, 5 and 5 for an average of 5. At this point, I want to jump into some correspondence. We only have a couple of episodes out, but we already got some people messaging us. So I wanted to give a shout out to, this is through YouTube, by the way, at eChair. I think it's eChair, eChair, eChair. Or do you think it's pronounced differently?
EC hair.
EC hair.
Air. Like an airline.
Hair, right? I please forgive me if I'm pronouncing the name wrong. I don't mean to poke fun at your name. I'm just not quite sure how to pronounce it. Mm-hmm. But he writes us from Japan, and he says Tales from the Crypt isn't very well known in Japan, but it was broadcast twice on TV when I was a child. He says he really likes season 1, episode 1, The Man Who Was Death, which was the episode we just did. So had I had this comment earlier, I would have read it while we are actually reviewing that episode. Unfortunately, or we record our episodes a week or 2 in advance, so we're a little bit behind. Now, he says he comes in with some pretty interesting perspective. He says, since Japan doesn't use the electric chair for capital punishment, it was a bit of a culture shock for me at the time. And that's interesting, isn't it? We do electric chair here in the States, or at least we did a lot more. So when we think of capital punishment, or when I think of capital punishment, my mind goes right to the electric chair. But I assume that other countries aren't the same. So he says, what stood out to me most was the scene at the end where Niles desperately believes that the call from the governor will come. And that's something we didn't talk about when we were reviewing the episode last week, was while he was being dragged to the electric chair, he was saying, wait. The governor's going to call. The governor's going to call to, give him a pardon. And that call never came. So that's something that happened in the last episode that we didn't bring up. I'm glad that you brought that up, E-Chair. And he also commented on that circus-like music that was in the background. He says the music made it seem as if it were just a fun little pastime, which is definitely alluded to. Remember, even with the comment that he had made about they should publicize it and everybody would watch it. So definitely people would be interested in watching it. He goes on to say, I'm looking forward to following you on your journey of reviewing the series. Well, we're looking forward to having you along on our journey. Please send us your comments. Any correspondence that we get from y'all, we're going to make sure to try our best to get to all of those in our upcoming episodes. Our next episode, by the way, is Season 1, Episode 3. And what is the name of that episode? That episode is called
Dig That Cat. he's real gone.
Yeah, dig that cat, he's real gone. So that'll be our next week's episode. So if you want to stay up to date on our listening journey or our watching journey, watch that episode and then tune in next week. We are on YouTube, and we also are on Spotify as well as Apple Podcasts. So tune in any way you'd like, and listen along. All right. Anything else before we go?
Yeah. I just noticed, and this just could be pure coincidence, but our writer from Japan being E-Chair, and then them talking about electric chair makes you want to assume their name is Electric Chair, but probably not.
Wait a minute. I never put that together.
I don't know if that's a thing, or like maybe.
Oh my gosh. How come I never even put that together?
Like, oh my gosh. So unique to them that they just made that their, their
Do you think E-Chair made their YouTube account
a long time ago? Who knows?
For this moment? Oh my gosh. All right. And with that, we bid you adieu, and take care of yourselves until next week. We are Cryptique. My name is Kenny.
And my name is Godden.
And you can find me at Too Bad About Kenny, both with the number 2 and TOO2. I do streaming on Twitch under Too Bad About Kenny with the number 2. And I do movie reviews on YouTube at Too Bad About Kenny with TOO. Godden, where can they find you?
Well, I occasionally play games on Twitch, but I have not been streaming as of yet. And changing, I don't know if I want to make my handle a little bit easier to type out, but you could find me if I'm ever streaming is UAPP06, which is just my name upside down.
Right, which is Godden upside down. So if you're unsure if you spelled it right, just turn your head 180 degrees and you'll be able to see.
And it should,
it should say Godden. Our link to our socials are going to be below as well. So if you're confused about how to find us, you can always check below. All right, everybody. All right, all you crypt fiends. We'll see you next week.
Well, how was that for a scream, boys and ghouls?